This is Kal Kat, the Kal Kat's turn. This is a quick review of Lower Decks Episode 7, Season 2, Episode 7, Where Pleasant Fountains Lie. It's a silly Star Trek episode. It's similar to the two Ren Faire ones, and that were ended up in the Sillian saga as the part of the Paradise saga. Originally, they were part of the Space Vanguards space series, but then they were not accepted in canon in Space Vanguards, but moved over to the Sillian space as Prospector. Evil computer on the station, crazy queen who wants to have the prince have sex. The prince happens to be the chief engineer. It's all a ruse to get him to the ship, to fix her ship, and then stuff happens. The B story is, I guess it's B and A story. They're mixed together. The Boimler and Mariner have to transport a evil computer, and they get caught in a gravimetric shear, which is from TNG, and they get taken to, they land on a planet, so they crash there, and they do sort of the Voyager, two people trapped on a planet thing. Also reminiscent of Space Vanguards and Paradise and Prospectors and Pathfinder saga in Sillian space, also stories. Clearly they're reading our stuff. Yes. Ren Faire, horny queen lady. That goes back to G1 silly track. Horny queen lady. The horny queen lady in the G1 silly track. This is like in high school. They shouldn't even know about this, although there was an online version, so they probably read it. She was the dog princess, and she encounters Kirk. And then, 78 years later, descendant of, she's long-lived. She encounters Picard's crew, because Mark's cards didn't realize that at the time that they were supposed to be separated by almost 80 years. So they just meet, because that created the universe. So 22, they encounter her in 2288, and also in 2364. So, the dog princess. Those characters became analogous to the Space Vanguards Rebians, to the Canterburyans of Prospectors, and Paradise and Pathfinder. They became similar to that. The Ren Faire planet of Pathfinder was potentially taken over by the dog princess's King Roger. King Roger took over there, and he was causing trouble. Roger Math, yes. Because he was kind of a Sillian. So did a lot of Sillians. Oh, and they think they killed Rutherford again. They stage an explosion on the ship to make it look like the Queen died, so that they can. And then they hide the Queen in Rutherford, and they try to make the chief engineer king so that he can have sex. Unfortunately, he can't perform, and he's not able to. And Rutherford rescues him. The Tendy's afraid that he's dead, but Tendy finds his scans for his implant and finds out that the guy's alive, and that was the trick. So she goes there to rescue the chief engineer up to the ship. It's also reminiscent of a TNG episode called Haven, in which Deanna Troi was supposed to be heard. So it's probably supposed to be a spoof of that more than the Sillian one. The Camarians, Ren Faire aliens, I think, are also a TNG people. I think they're, but later, I think they're from season 6 or 7. Acamarians or whatever they're. Yeah. So they had a Ren Faire episode of TNGs. They did do that. So it isn't just us, but it's got to. They'll just say it's them. They'll just say, "Oh no, Next Generation, we're spoofing the Ren Faire planet that they'd encountered, and the other Ren Faire planet, and all that." It's nothing to do with because why? Yeah, nothing to do with. We don't know who Kal Kat is, but yeah, of course. It's like, come on, you don't. We don't know you. But it is interesting that there is a sort of it is very much like those stories. So it is. That's fun. He doesn't end up performing. So yeah, it's clearly back to an adult comedy that uh, uh, and nods to an evil computer. And the evil computer is played by Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs, made famous for Wei-Yun and Brunt, Liquidator Brunt on Deep Space Nine, and many other characters. He was also Shran on Enterprise, and he was years ago. Before that, he was in Reanimator. He's the evil scientist in Reanimator. But yeah, Jeffrey Combs, and a similar voice of Jeffrey Combs' voice was in All Transformers Smash. One of our stuff. That wasn't him, but it was us imitating. Well, I was trying to imitate his voice, you see. It's not really that hard. But yes. But, so, yeah, he was the evil computer. And they tricked the computer into hooking him up to the Boimler and Mariner fight. And they trick him to plug him into this ship to contact Starfleet to get them rescued from the planet. And then later on, he's thrown in the Daystrom Institute along with a bunch of other evil computers, and they're all gaming computers. They all kind of look like gaming computers, so it's a nod to the gaming. And it looks like Picard has a cameo just in the background. Doesn't say anything. Yeah, so or there's a bald-headed guy. But yeah, yeah. Maybe it was not Picard. Maybe it was actually Kal Kat in a episode of dressed in an outfit. Yeah, in a movie era outfit. Not an animation. So excellent. So yeah, they don't know us. Yeah, even though somehow they do. Again, another Star Trek. They don't know us, but they do. But yes. So. Lower Decks, episode 7, fine. It was like one of ours. It's not, but it was. So, sure. And they keep implying that people are dying left and right on the ship, but then being revived. And you just know that Tendi and Rutherford are going to do it at some point. And you just know that Mariner and what's-his-face already did before the show started. Those two were like, they obviously did. I mean, but yeah, but unlike Deep Space Nine, where they hit the Kira with Bashir thing because the actors were in love with each other. Yeah, we didn't mention it before, but Keiko was pregnant and she had a baby and they put it in Kira and all this convoluted stuff when they could have just written it in that Bashir and Kira were an item. And then that would have made that they could have changed that silly Dax scene at the end of the finale. You know, Dax would have never done it with him. Come on. Anyways, but yeah, the kid is Bashir's. Anyway, so but yeah, so that's